Is your hair routine secretly ruining your scalp? Many women over 50 think they're doing everything right, but a few small mistakes can make hair thinner, weaker, and oilier than ever. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which habits to avoid and the healthy routine that will keep your scalp balanced and your hair fresh for days. Let's walk through the biggest mistakes one by one. I'll explain why they cause damage and what to do instead. One of the most common mistakes is washing too often. Daily shampooing might feel clean, but in reality, it does the opposite of what you want. Every time you scrub away all the natural oils, you strip your scalp of its protective barrier. And when that barrier is gone, your oil glands kick into high gear to make up for the loss. It's your body's way of defending itself. The result is frustrating. Instead of keeping your hair fresh, you end up with greasy roots by the evening, sometimes even just hours after washing. This becomes especially noticeable after 50, when hormones shift and the scalp doesn't behave the way it used to. What once worked perfectly fine in your 30s or 40s can suddenly leave you feeling like your hair is constantly flat and oily. The healthier choice is to stretch out your washes every 2 or 3 days. This simple change gives your scalp the chance to regulate oil production naturally instead of forcing it into overdrive. At first, it might feel uncomfortable to skip a daily wash, but after a few weeks, your scalp starts to adjust and the oil begins to settle into a more manageable rhythm. If the in-between days feel too greasy, you don't have to suffer through it. A scalp refreshing spray, a light water rinse, or even using a little dry shampoo sparingly can help you feel comfortable without triggering that rebound effect. Once you've found a rhythm with washing, the next step is just as important. What you do afterward can either protect your hair or cause even more damage. That's where towel drying comes in. It's such a common habit, grabbing a towel, rubbing hard, and trying to get your hair dry as quickly as possible. We've all done it, especially when we're in a rush. But here's the problem. This rough motion actually lifts the hair cuticle, tangles the strands, and creates friction that your hair simply cannot handle as well anymore. Once you hit 50, your hair naturally becomes finer, and the strands lose some of their strength and elasticity. That means damage that you might not have noticed in your 20s or 30s suddenly shows up in the form of breakage, frizz, and that fuzzy halo around your head. It can also make your hair look dull, because the lifted cuticle doesn't reflect light the same way smooth, healthy hair does. The fix is easy, but it does take a little awareness. Instead of rubbing, blot your hair gently. A microfiber towel is one of the best options because it soaks up water quickly without adding rough texture against your strands. If you don't have one, even a soft cotton t-shirt works beautifully. This simple switch absorbs moisture without dragging or pulling at the cuticle. It sounds almost too easy, but the difference is huge over time. Your hair stays smoother, softer, and less prone to breakage, and you'll notice that styling becomes easier too, since you're not starting with frizz from the very first step. Once your hair is damp and protected, the next thing most women reach for is heat. And this is where another common mistake shows up. It's using too much of it. Blow dryers, flat irons, curling wands. These tools give quick results and help us feel put together, but using them too often comes with a cost. Constant high heat dehydrates the hair shaft, stripping away its natural moisture and weakening its inner structure. Over time, this shows up as dullness, frizz that never seems to calm down, and split ends that keep traveling higher up the strand. And once you're past 50, these effects are even more noticeable because hair is naturally thinner, drier, and more fragile due to changes in hormones and the aging process. What you might have gotten away with years ago can now cause visible damage after just a few weeks of overdoing it. The good news is you don't have to give up styling altogether. The solution is moderation and smarter technique. Try saving heat styling for special days rather than making it part of your daily routine. When you do use heat, always choose the lowest temperature setting that still gets the job done. Most women are surprised to learn that they don't actually need the higher setting for their hair to respond. Another great trick is to let your hair air dry at least halfway before reaching for the blow dryer. This simple change cuts the amount of time your hair is exposed to heat, reducing overall damage. Over time, these little shifts protect your strands, keeping them softer, shinier, and more manageable. Of course, when you do reach for those tools, skipping one step makes the damage much worse. This is a mistake many women don't even think twice about. Heat protectant sprays or creams can feel like an extra step, something easy to skip when you are in a hurry or when you feel like you just want to get your styling done. But the truth is, they are one of the most important parts of a healthy hair routine. These products work by creating an invisible shield around your strands that takes on the brunt of the heat before it reaches the delicate inner layers of your hair. Blow dryers, flat irons, and curling wands all expose hair to temperatures high enough to strip away moisture and weaken proteins. Without that protective layer, every pass of heat breaks down the natural structure of the hair shaft. You may not notice the effect right away, but over time it shows up as dullness, dryness, frizz, and the kind of split ends that make hair harder to manage. For women over 50, this step is especially important. With age, hair naturally changes. Strands lose some of their elasticity, the cuticle becomes more fragile, and overall thickness decreases. That means damage that might have been manageable in your 30s or 40s shows up more quickly now. Every little bit of defense you can give your hair makes a difference. A lightweight spray or mist applied evenly from the mid-lengths to the ends is usually all it takes. This small step helps lock in moisture and reduce the shock of heat, all without leaving behind greasiness at the roots or a heavy feel. The right formula disappears into the hair, working quietly in the background while still providing that much needed protection. Think of heat protection the way you think of sunscreen. Most of us would never spend hours outside without applying it to our skin, because we know the sun will leave long-term damage even if we do not feel it immediately. Heat tools work the same way on hair. The damage builds slowly, and once it shows, it is much harder to reverse. Making heat protection part of your regular routine is really about prevention and keeping your hair in its best condition for years to come. Once you bring this step into your styling, everything else becomes easier. Your hair stays softer, holds on to shine, and resists frizz better. It is not about giving up styling altogether. It is about learning how to make styling safe and sustainable so your hair can stay healthy no matter how often you use heat. Now, even with careful moderation, there's one more mistake that often sneaks in. Many women skip a step that could make all the difference. Pulling your hair back into tight ponytails or buns might feel tidy and convenient, but over time, it creates more harm than good. When hair is pulled tightly day after day, the follicles are placed under constant stress. This strain weakens them and can eventually lead to breakage, especially around the hairline where the hair is already finer and more delicate. For many women, this shows up as thinning near the temples, a wider-looking part, or shorter, weaker hairs that refuse to grow back evenly. The tricky part is that these changes often happen slowly, so it's easy to miss the connection between your styling habits and the long-term impact on your scalp health. After 50, when hair naturally becomes thinner and scalp sensitivity can increase, the damage from tight styles becomes even more noticeable. The last thing you want is to make fragile areas weaker by keeping your hair pulled back too firmly. That's why looser, softer styles are a much better choice. A relaxed ponytail, a gentle claw clip, or even a wide headband can keep your hair away from your face without pulling on the roots. Not only do these styles protect your scalp, but they also give your overall look a softer, more flattering finish. It's not only about comfort, it's about prevention and preserving the fullness of your hair for as long as possible. Now that we've gone through the most common mistakes, it's time to shift our focus. Let's put it into a routine that actually works for oily scalps and fragile hair after 50. The foundation of healthy hair care after 50 is all about finding balance. Hair at this stage of life often behaves differently than it did in our 30s or 40s. It can feel thinner at the crown, drier at the ends, yet still oily at the scalp. That's why your routine needs to be thoughtful and consistent rather than harsh or extreme. Start with your wash routine. Cleansing every 2 to 3 days is often the sweet spot. A lightweight, sulfate-free shampoo made for oily scalps works best because it clears away excess oil without stripping the hair. Focus the lather right at the roots where oil collects most and simply let the suds flow down the rest of the hair as you rinse. This way, your ends get cleaned without being overwashed. To keep your scalp truly refreshed, bring in a clarifying shampoo once a week. Think of it as a reset button to lift away product buildup, pollution, and excess sebum that can weigh your style down. Once your hair is clean, the next step is conditioning wisely. This is where many women go wrong. The conditioner belongs only on the mid-lengths and ends, not the scalp. This avoids greasy roots while still giving your drier, older ends the nourishment they need. When rinsing, stick with cool or lukewarm water. Hot water can stimulate the oil glands and leave your scalp greasier, while cooler water seals the cuticle and helps your hair shine naturally. After rinsing, how you dry your hair makes a big difference. Rubbing with a regular towel can rough up the cuticle, leading to frizz and breakage. Instead, gently blot with a microfiber towel or even a soft cotton t-shirt. This protects the strands and shortens drying time. From there, keep your styling products lightweight. Anything too creamy, heavy, or oil-based near your roots will only add to the grease factor. Save richer products for the ends if needed and reach for sprays, mousses, or light serums for the top. If you do use heat tools, always apply a protectant first and limit how often you rely on them. Your hair will hold onto its strength and shine much longer this way. And yes, no routine is complete without lifestyle support. Hair health starts from the inside out. Drinking enough water, eating a balanced diet rich in vitamins and minerals, and managing stress all play a role in how your scalp behaves. When your body feels nourished and balanced, your hair reflects that. Keeping things clean, light, and simple allows your hair to not only look fresher, but also feel healthier and more manageable every single day. So, which of these mistakes have you been making? Share your stories below. I love reading all of them. And if you found this video helpful, this next one is definitely for you.